right, welcome back to the Dan Evans Show right here on Sports Illustrated. I am beyond excited. Today's guest is one of the most innovative minds in modern golf course architecture. And if you've been watching TGL, you've already seen his work without a doubt, and potentially didn't even realize it. He's the founder of Pizá Golf, the creator of concepts like wellness golf, butterfly golf, and he's helping design some of the wildest, most creative holes in the TGL universe. We're going to talk TGL, the new season, the courses, but I also want to go all the way back and find out how a kid from Mexico ends up being such an innovator in the world of golf and golf course design. Agustin Piza, welcome to the show.
Muchas gracias, Dan. Love it. Thank you.
So awesome, man. I appreciate you joining us today. All right. I've got to know right off the bat. There's so much I want to know, but designing golf courses in an artificial universe versus ones that actually have, real grass and they've got to be mowed and watered. Is that a big transition, or is it all kind of the same thing in the end? That is
a beautiful transition, Dan, because for the first time, the generation of us growing in the, or at least me in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was all about sustainability. New rules were out there. Tree huggers were out there. Everything was growing. We in a conscience level, the world started the climate, talking about across the board sustainability factors, which was good. So for the first time in my 28-year career, I was like, I love this. I don't have to worry about trees. I don't have to worry about irrigation heads count that I need to count, budgets to a certain,
sure.
Budget constraints. So all these constraints that is beautiful to design. Now, that's when there were two challenges here, because we've done that for all these 28 years. The creativity with all the restraints, and all of a sudden it's like little to no restraints. Then it's time to check your real creativity, or your real outside the box thinking.
Sure.
Because there's no excuses. There's no excuses. It's like, now it's on you, because the setting, we have to imagine everything, or we like to imagine everything. We were, the settings, some settings are down to earth, some settings are not. So we kind of like mixed it in a little bit there.
So I would imagine, does it almost become more complex? I mean, I would imagine, okay, you're on a project to design a golf course. You sort of, you have the land that exists. The earth was there before you, and you've got to figure out, how do I now use this, utilize this, make something beautiful and challenging within the space? But then you go into the complete digital world of TGL, and does that amount of freedom almost become daunting? That there is nothing to work with. It is a blank canvas, and it's all from scratch.
You hit it right on the nail. There's two things: uncertainty and blank canvas. Blank canvas you probably heard of before. I never used the term blank canvas until TGL, because there's no such thing as a blank canvas when you're designing out there in nature.
Sure.
Nature is to be respected / to be enhanced, depending on the situation, for the purpose of man, of the use of man. So that we're designing a golf course.
Yeah.
It's for our use. It's for, call it progress, call it whatever you want. At the end, you can put it in the envelope that you like. At the end, we are producing something on anything but a blank canvas. Now we go to TGL, and for the first time, I feel comfortable in saying, I do have a blank canvas. This is a blank canvas. Now it's like, holy bro, this is a blank canvas.
Yeah.
It's like, now I have to imagine everything with our team. And that's it. We need to imagine the whole composition. So now you're imagining a painting with the whole composition. It's not just the figurative part or whatever. It's the whole composition. So why I mention uncertainty, because when when we first got the call from TGL, it was like, yeah, we're all pumped up. What a privilege. Fantastic. Love the idea, love the concept, loved everything that was about it. Uh, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a minute. There is an uncertainty, there is a risk involved. Few not We're the less famous guys out there on the list. So let's perform.
Yeah.
Let's do something cool. Let's do something different. Yes. Let's give him that no look pass. Let's do something interesting. So that's where we really put us to the test, and the uncertainty of creating these holes like Spear at that time, like Flex with the volcano.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we really exposed ourselves. We were out there and we were ready to be exposed, and we were ready to take on that risk. And we believed in ourselves and in our talent, and we're back season 2. So
clearly
something happened.
that there was something there that, I mean, not only connected with fans, because obviously season 1 was wildly successful for TGL. I mean, a brand new concept. Those of us that, you know, all we do is sit and write about golf and research and make videos and tell stories. And then all of a sudden something comes out and it's like, man, this isn't just changing up the format on another golf tournament. This is exploring into an entirely new universe. And so to have, you know, people on board on the design side who understand that and say, you know what, if you're pushing the bounds on competition, then, you know, kind of embracing that responsibility of pushing the bounds on the design that's going to go with that. Last year, I had a chance to go down and play on the big TGL screen and hit some balls. And we set up a challenge. Of course, it was ultimately designed to embarrass me, which is fine. That's one of my favorite things to do because I do it quite often. But I brought a world long drive guy down, and we played the back tees, hitting over an unbelievable amount of lava. And the goal was, you know, to see how it all played out. Obviously, from the back tees, he's hitting it fine. He's dead center of the fairway. I'm swinging out of my mind, and my ball is obviously smoldering and melting off near the volcano. But I think that is such a fun way to express creativity, because you're right. We are entering a new universe. So why do we have to stay within the confines of sort of this existing universe we've all been playing in? For you, when you get in that position, do you feel like, okay, I've got to keep this on the rails some, or I want to push it and make a statement and leave something memorable as I'm designing holes like these?
Option 2.
Yeah.
With that said, we do have a criteria within our practice that, you know, our cut room has a few. I mean, you see papers all over the floor. We did ask ourselves some questions, because one thing is to do something crazy, alternate, you know, out of the box, out there. The other is to do something, you know, and just let's jump from this planet to the other and blah blah blah. I think that's fairly easy. The tough part, the challenge for us that we placed on the table and in our whiteboard was, hey, let's create something special out of the box, but that still, to our point of view, respects the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
So lava for the Flex, the one with the lava, we're designing for top players in the tour, arguably top players in the world. Team play, alternate shot. So it's like, hey, why don't we? I mean, the normal thing that we see going back to sustainability is one fairway. Sometimes you can split it, but one fairway.
Sure.
Risk reward, or strategic, or penal, whatever the design caters to, and you usually have one shot type. You know, here it's asking you for a draw, or it's asking you for a fade, or high trajectory, or whatever. So how could we level that? And with Pick Your Plunder, with the Flex, we started creating, you know, hey, if you want to play the draw, but the other team has a great player that plays the cut, then then we're leveling the play, we're leveling it, we're going to create kind of like a cool competition. One could use the right, one could use the left. You don't need your carts out there, you don't need to
Yeah.
walk out there. It's just an immediate change. So why not start thinking outside completely and take those attributes of digital playing to your advantage? We don't
Yeah.
need a big bridge to cross to that area. We don't need carts. We're not wasting time or cutting into a timeout or whatever to get to that
Yep.
place. So it's kind of like a fast pace. It's great. It has a shot clock. All of those things we took into advantage with our design, and we could create some alternate ways of playing. So now your buddy with the long driver is taking the 315 shot straight down the middle, and you're taking, or whoever, or I would be taking the left or the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
conservative and getting there in three shots. But at the end, it's that beauty of, if you take the lava out, we can create the flex in real life.
Yeah.
Just imagine that with some streams coming in and stuff like that. It would. So the question, going back to the point, is that we asked ourselves, would we play this course, this hole, over and over and over,
Yeah.
and would we become members of a course like this? And the answer was yes. Then we started detailing, and we started and that would be part of the of our showcase or of our holes. So those are the questions that were asked and challenged during our design process.
I love that. The thing that I get from you is just an immediate sense of passion for design. And from what I understand, this is something that you connected with at a very early age. I mean, what you were in, was it grade school when you had this early idea that I want to build things? Is that right?
Well, you did your homework. Thank you very much, Dan. Fifth grade. I was 11 years old when I wanted to become an architect. Um, I have no explanation for that. It just hit me, and without hesitation, college, architecture.
And not just
So I
any
have a
college. You went to a
well,
very well-known, respected school for architecture design. Is that correct?
yes. Well, the best in Latin America,
Yeah.
Monterrey Institute of Technology, architecture school. So I have a 5-year degree in architecture, in regular vertical architecture. And from there, I was very lucky because during my university years, now it was time to kind of like think of, what am I going to specialize in?
Sure.
Sports was my number. Well, I had two: sports architecture and cinematic architecture.
Oh, wow.
So if I would not be a golf architect or a sports architect, I would have been doing stages for movies.
Well,
Those were my two passions.
sports. There were sports in your family. Is that correct? There, or at least
Yes, thank
athletics
you.
was a part of
My,
your life growing up.
yes, always played competitive sports, different scenarios. Funny enough, not golf,
Yeah.
but basketball, tennis, front tennis, football, American football. Um, all my life, all the way to university, playing competitive sports. Both my parents, my late mother and my dad, PE teachers. And in the world of sports, I got to meet Nadia Comaneci when I was growing up, Carlos Giron, Greg Louganis, Michelle Mitchell. I grew up watching them train in Mission Viejo, down in San Diego. I'm born and raised in Tijuana. So San Diego has always been my backyard. So that's why I'm a Charger fan. And so all of that happened with this, and going back to my university years, is like, how can I mix this with sports, um, and follow and connect my two passions, architecture with sports, through golf design. I was very, very fortunate to have met a dear friend of mine who passed away, who introduced me to Paragon Golf Construction, Jack Nicklaus's construction company back then. They were doing Palmilla and El Dorado in Cabo, and I applied and I got the gig, and that's how I started in golf architecture. 2 weeks later, walkthrough with Jack Nicklaus. After the walkthrough, they introduced me as the new kid. Takes his hat off, says, "Hey, Augie, here you go. Welcome." And that was my first 2 weeks of experience
Wow.
as a future golf architect, because that's another story. Uh, um, because I worked in construction for the first 7 years of my career.
Wow. I mean, talk about, life taking you on a journey, but almost in some ways, I mean, to me, when I hear that, it feels very meant to be, just sort of serendipitous that you were
Good
chasing
word.
passion, but then at the same time, the universe was aligning opportunities because there was something greater in store. And to me, it sounds like it was you following the path, the energy, that thing that was drawing you towards something greater. And ultimately, a lot of times in life, that comes from saying yes. It comes from agreeing with that feeling in that moment. I mean, am I right?
It is completely right. Why would I say? I mean, yes. Uh, great word, by the way. Yes, definitely, definitely. That's the experience of my life in my career. The other one is saying yes, yes, because I was, why would you want to go to Cabo? It was a very small town back in the late '80s. Great town. I mean, nothing against it. It was beautiful, but uh, then it's like to a construction company. I don't know anybody there. Blah blah. Hey, let's pack up and go. So it was my first time out of college that I left the house again. And then because of the career in golf architecture or in golf, that you have to be all over the place, and anybody who's in the industry will relate to that. It takes you from here to there to there to there to there to there, and I never came back to Tijuana until in 21, 4 years ago, that we opened our office in San Diego. Until then,
Wow.
I came back to my home, area.
Yeah.
So and then the Chargers moved to LA. No, just
Yeah.
kidding. So anyway, uh, yeah, so all of that energy was placed down there. Then I started construction, and to finish off into what was the threshold of becoming an architect, because the naysayers, and I don't want to turn it into a into this, but there's a lot of naysayers, and I'm
Sure.
from a town from TJ, Mexican, at the time where celebrity golf designers were at the peak, at their top of the game
Well, and most of
in
those guys
designing.
come from pro golfer legacy.
That
They've
that
got a
was that was
name built in and they've got trophy
Yeah,
cases so they can slap their name on a golf course. Someone's going to go pay several $100s a round, go book a vacation around it. And now here you are, sort of the guy who might not be shining out front like they are. So what do you have to do? I mean, to me, that's got to be not only pretty intimidating, but also feel like you're fighting a much bigger battle. I've got to prove myself in a much bigger way. I don't have a
that's the
name that you
beauty.
can put on the side of a
Yeah.
hat and put it in the pro shop and everybody's running out to buy it yet, you know? So how do you maintain personal confidence in your ability, in your dream, in your mission when you are looking at sort of the cards being what some would say stacked against you?
Yes, day by day.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. It's just your mindset. I knew that I could compete, but it wasn't going to be through winning a major anytime soon, or
Sure.
a green jacket to start signing those nice checks.
Yeah.
So I had to go through the books, and that's when I applied to. Well, after learning the ropes in construction, which is one of our competitive advantages as well, to a certain extent, because we know about construction. When
Yeah.
we're designing, we're value engineering. We're thinking about constructability. Could we do this? Can we not? What's the budget? Where do we want this golf course to sit in regards to the whole brief and business plan?
Yeah.
So once we do that, then then with the construction, then I applied to the only master's degree that was available at that time at the University of Edinburgh in Edinburgh, Scotland. So
Which is a kind of a big deal in the world of golf course design education. Am I right? I mean,
yeah,
that's the
yes,
place you want to be if, to learn this at, almost, I mean, essentially near the home of golf itself.
yes. This was a little bit over, 20. This was what 2003, 2005 in my lifetime. So I just finished those 6, 7 years of construction. Working two for a Jack Nicklaus signature in the trenches. I was lucky to participate as a junior project manager for Querencia, the first Tom Fazio golf course south of the border. So
Wow.
imagine my schooling: two signatures and then a Tom Fazio. That was my school to begin with.
Yeah.
So that's the quality. I knew two things, and the only way that I can eventually compete was through the books, through my creativity, and through keeping and maintaining the quality of what of my schooling on site.
Yeah.
So those were the three factors that I had to take with me on my backpack always. So I had to let go a few projects that didn't, because get this guy to designing. I'm like, no, I only do quality work. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And when you do those decisions, it can backfire, and I could have gone completely to another side, or it didn't, fortunately. And it was like, this guy only does quality work, or to that extent. So now, eventually, it's very easy to talk about this in 30 seconds. In years' time, you start getting the calls eventually. So
Sure.
my first design didn't come until 2008 when Tampico Country Club, where we have the Happy Tree, funny enough, it's right here. Look it up in our website, pizagolf.com, the Happy Tree in Tampico. And it was like the first eye opener is like, oh, who's this guy? And I did not get international recognition until 2014 when we were runner-up on Remodel of the Year for our project in Huatulco, Oaxaca. And
Wow.
that's where I got the first international recognition. And then after that, we created concepts that you mentioned: wellness golf, butterfly golf, multi-purpose golf, golf lounge, the pit, and all of these original designs, out of the box thinking, different ideas, multi-purpose, designed for the non-golfer. That's wellness golf. Take your shoes off, ground, uh, stop and smell the coffee, listen to the birds, rip your scorecard. It doesn't matter. It's primitive golf.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I want to.
That concept came up in 2017. Now it's kind of like a little bit normal, but that concept was designed in 2017.
I want to dive into these, but before we do, I want to touch on something and step back. The moment of making the decision to go to Edinburgh, is this, life changing? Going, I mean, feeling like the world that you have grown up in, worked in, to now, I mean, somewhere that kind of feels like halfway around the planet. Is this a simple transition? Is it terrifying? Is it life changing? I mean, kind of walk me through what that feels like to pack up and head there and essentially for a period of time start a completely different life.
At that time, and to a certain, well, I'll include TGL. Almost 99% of the things that I do are terrifying.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
It's again, uncertainty, but it's trusting, taking that leap, believing in yourself, and then whatever happens happens. We don't, nobody, if you don't look for approval,
Yeah.
things work out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's that. I mean, and I mean in a very good way. We believe a lot in what we do, and if somebody likes it, that's beautiful. And we'll continue to believe in ourselves and create different things for unique clients. And that's the beauty where we're at right now is that we we don't get 1,000 calls, but the calls that we get are to create something unique,
Yeah.
and that's beautiful. As an artist, as an architect, that is the most beautiful feeling. 20 something years later, that we get the calls from unique clients that want to do something unique and special and different.
When you talk about making decisions without this idea of the seeking for approval, it's at that point. I mean, I was listening to an interview a while back, and it was the great Rick Rubin was talking about, musical producer, just a brilliant mind and creativity. He said, the trap that so many artists get in is they're thinking of how my art will be viewed. And instead of making something that they believe in, that they trust, that they fall in love with, and he says, you work on that until you feel a sense of completion and a sense of love for your art, and then you release it to the world and your job is done. And
Love it. That's come from here. Yep.
And I think that's a tough thing for a lot of people who are in any form of creative space or any sort of media outlet or whatever that may be, because it's so simple to put yourself in the eyeballs of the viewer and imagine what, oh, wow, people are going to say that this is this, or people, oh, if I do that, I might be judged for that. And now all of a sudden you're not following your energy, your creativity. The path that led you here is being altered by ultimately a made up scenario in your mind. You've invented the comments that these people are saying, and now you're altering your decisions based upon an alternate universe that's not even real. So
Exactly.
how do you keep yourself in a place where you stay true to you and not live in a world where, you are seeking approval and altering your decisions and what you're doing?
It's it's very difficult, and we'll probably need a whole nother. We'll probably need to get together one day to talk about this because it's a philosophical question, not easy to answer quickly, because there's a lot of moving parts too. I mean, in this case, you know, to a certain extent, it's even going against human nature because human nature always wants to to be a part of a tribe, a family, a etc. We're usually seeking, and human nature seeks for approval
Yeah.
on different levels of stages since we were born.
Yep.
So it's not easy. Of course, you're conscious about it. Of course, it's there, but the heart, the soul within is still stronger than the outside.
Yeah.
If I can maintain that, all of these things will keep coming out. That's how I can answer that one as in 30 seconds.
I love that. Was there a point when you now are designing on your own? You've left behind the big names that you learn so much from, but at some point it's I am now Pizá Golf. I am separate from those entities, and they've helped shape me in who I am, but it's my turn and my time to execute my visions. At what point was it project one? Was it a few projects down the road where you felt like you were executing in your own full freedom? Was that right off the bat, or did it take time where you feel like, wow, now I have reached a place where I am confident enough in myself to execute my vision without any inhibition or restraint?
Uh, Beautiful question, Dan. It gradually grows,
Yeah.
because you start feeling more confident. You start maybe thinking on walkthroughs.
Yeah.
I'm the silent one. I'm just taking notes. I'm helping out in the view of these great celebrity designers, and and you start thinking of something, and maybe somebody says it. It's like, I'm not that bad.
Mm.
You start introspecting. You start discovering yourself within those walkthroughs, and I'm talking about 6, 7, 8, 9 years of walking through, with even with again Jack Nicklaus, Tom Fazio, Robert Von Hagee, Gary Player. All of this was beautiful, and yes, I have taken beautiful things from them, and even to an extent, their humane part, because they were all very warm to me in regards to following my dream, and that I will always be very gracious of, with all of these names, because they they kind of, like, I think they saw it in me.
Yeah.
And like Jack giving me his hat that I still have, obviously, after his sweaty walkthrough and stuff. But it's cool,
Yeah.
those things, and taking a pause with Gary Player, and talking about this dream that I have, and hey, pursue it. And so it's you start growing these things, and you start clicking here and there, and then you start auto criticizing,
Sure.
and seeing if you're good or bad, or should I stay in construction, because maybe if I owned a construction company right now, I would do 10 times better than what I do now, because I would be building for everybody. I don't know. But those are the avenues when I'm growing up, is what can I do? Strictly project management, which I did a lot and I still do. Project management, uh, construction, but my dream was design,
Yeah.
and I was going to pursue it. So I graduated from Edinburgh University. I had my thesis, I got a distinction in my thesis at the end. All these things were like little ignitions, that it was like, cool, 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 cool. So then, like I said, it wasn't. I mean, I started in '98, and it was 10 years later that I had the first opportunity to design with my own name.
Was there a point where you began second guessing yourself as you're exploring some of these new ideas? Whether it is the looping 6-hole tracks that can be played in different directions and swapped around and things like that, where you go into it and you go, I have this brilliant idea, everyone's on board, this makes sense. But you get to a point in some of those projects, and when you're innovating, do you ever have that internal panic attack? Like, what am I doing? Like this, I'm crazy for trying this. Do you ever have those moments of feeling that?
I don't know how to answer that and not sound sad. No,
That's beautiful.
because my thinking is like, why haven't we been doing this for
Yeah.
centuries?
Yep.
I mean, it's like, what we do in our driving ranges, which became multi-purpose, or in other areas, it's just pure logic of, driving ranges have downtimes,
Yep.
and there's nobody there. I don't know. I'm generalizing.
Sure.
Let's
Sure.
say there's nobody there from 2 o'clock or from noon till 5 p.m. So what do you do? It's like the example of a movie theater. You're still going to show the movie. How do you get people in?
Yeah.
How do you get people to buy popcorn? That was my mindset. It's like, how can I get better, advantage of this area that's huge, that's 10 to 15 acres? How can we use it from 12 to 5, that's nobody, that we have nobody here, and make my client extra bucks?
Yeah.
That was my mentality. I was like, why? I mean, maybe because I was born in a little bit of a necessity ambience, that necessity is the mother of creativity.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, uh, uh, that was my way of thinking since I was little. Hey, necessity. My mom or dad didn't pick me up after football practice because they were working. So, dude, let's start walking.
Yeah.
Let's grab the bus. Let's hang on to the back of the bus. I don't know, but I'm gonna get home.
Yeah. Yep. I think I can completely relate to you in there's the process of solving and brainstorming and kind of trying to understand how to solve this thing, whatever it may be. And when you arrive at that point, no other option seems to make sense other than actually doing the thing. It's the solution is here. Now our job is to bring it into fruition and allow it to be a thing here in reality. And I can genuinely understand that it's almost it's more torturesome to not do the idea once it all clicks together and makes sense.
Exactly. Now, the thing is, and the secret is not, you can become, you can have all these ideas, great or not, doesn't matter because, uh, you're talking about some that have worked, but you have other ideas that when you start drawing, maybe you hit a dead end or something, and
Sure.
it's in, I have, I don't know, 20 sketchbooks that I have ideas that I go back 5 years, and oh, I remember this idea, boom, and I do it now.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, it's like when you have that, and I'm going to give you another example on the logic of things. Silica sand,
Yep.
beautiful sand, yes,
Yes.
beautiful, nice white or whitish. You're out there, but we only use it for hazards,
Yeah.
for a bunker, to fill up a bunker. And I'm like, no, and this is where Golf Lounge, the pit, came up. Why don't we create something that is a beautiful chipping area, putting area, great complex. But if I'm importing this silica sand at that money and at that rate, and importing it from 1,000 miles away, why don't we flip the switch and create a nice beach atmosphere where you can take your shoes off, and that thing after 8 p.m. turns into a golf lounge. Turn on the speakers, put on some lights, and put in some fire pits in that big bunker.
Yeah.
And now families are roasting marshmallows. Now, you're having a few drinks with your buddies. You're still putting, and now it all came. It has a soul. Yes. So, to me, again, necessity, or kind of like thinking, hey, we're buying this. Why don't we double use it as a hazard, as practice, but also as something cool? It's a beautiful sand. Might as well use it. So that's kind of how I think.
Do you feel like, I mean, because to me, this, what it seems like is you coming from this, from a traditional architecture background and sort of an original passion there. And as you said, in vertical buildings, and spending time there and studying and learning and having passion there, but then transitioning into golf, I would imagine it has to give you a different perspective on the way you want to utilize a property, utilize space, bring in other creativities, because you do have this traditional architecture background. I mean, has that come into play, to you through this process?
Definitely, you grow with that gymnastics,
Yeah.
in the 5 year career. Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I mean, that's so cool.
And for every and also, I'll throw it out there, a true architect, if you make a mistake, you use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and really, in so much through so many different veins of creativity. It really is. I mean,
Yes.
I played a lot of professional music growing up. And
Yes.
if some of the guys in the band, there was a mistake made, we always called it jazz. We just,
You go, exactly.
it was
Let's
just a
go.
little bit of
Freestyle it.
jazz in there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So
Let's
how,
just not abuse. Let's just not abuse that jazz part.
yeah,
Practice, bro.
yeah. So how does TGL come into play? I mean, is it just an email that pops into your inbox? Do they come pounding on your door? Was it a friend of a friend? Where does, how do those universes sort of end up coming together?
Well, I don't know the whole backstory, but I'll tell you my experience is that we've been, as you might figure out, we love innovation.
Yeah.
We're constantly thinking a little bit outside the box. What do we do here? What do we do there? So technology was not a stranger to us. We do. I don't know if I have examples, but we do. We do a lot of things in like paper. Everything that we do is sketch and paper. I'm filled with papers here in the
Yeah.
deck,
Yeah.
and sketch, and I only use pencil. So I only use my iPad, to be honest. I mean, 99% of the time just to do these chats and Zooms and stuff like that. But I have a great production team that after I sketch, then they take it into production. So with that said, technology has never been a stranger to us. We were very fortunate to be involved with Ryan Engel and his team in Golf Plus.
Okay.
When the goggles came out,
Yeah.
they were kind of like a startup. They were growing, and we hit it off. They loved the pit. If anybody wants to see it, it's hashtag the pit 2020. They loved our pit design, and they said, "Hey, we would love to reproduce it in our Golf Plus." And I believe, don't quote me on this one, but I believe I was the first or one of the first kind of like architect Golf Plus interaction, because everything that they were doing, it was replicas of what's out there, no? Which is the normal thing to do. And we had a great interaction in the cyberspace, creating the pit, taken off from our plans and renders from Harris Kalinka, and all of this was happening, and now connecting and to Golf Plus, and all of a sudden, whatever months later, after all their hard work, I got my set of goggles and I was playing the pit virtual. That was a beautiful movement, and we continued on that path, and I believe that's how TMRW got that, kind of like, hey, who's out there doing a little bit of something different, something unique, and that's where we got the call, because they already had Bo Welling, who's a friend and a great designer. They already had the Nicholas Design Group, and I believe they were looking for a third, and that's where I got the call. That's where they wanted to have somebody a little bit outside that box, and we were lucky to get that call, and it was a great interview with Andrew and Scott, and we hit it off, and they liked what they saw and what we were already innovating here and there, and they took the chance on us, and here we are.
Man. So you obviously you're designing, back before season one. The big announcement wasn't really out there. There was rumors that this indoor golf league is coming. When you hear about this concept, because at this point it's not on ESPN yet, it's not proven. I mean, obviously there's some pretty high level names behind it, so you can assume that it's going to get some attention. But does it make sense to you when they're like, "Hey, we've got this thing"? I mean, obviously they've got to give you some kind of a explanation, a pitch. I don't know if there's a PowerPoint, whatever it is. But did you look at this and go, "I want to be a part of this," or do you go, I don't know. It seems pretty far out there, guys. We'll see.
No. Actually, it made a lot of sense. Like, especially, I mean, it didn't take much. Oh, by the way, Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Mike McCarley are behind this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's so it was beautiful. So that had to do a lot with it. When you have and it's a great point, when you have crazy ideas, different ideas, and you need a crazy client. If not, you just
Yeah.
become a theorist.
Yeah.
And the world of architecture, the world of design, is of artists. It's filled with theorists, great books in theory, because their great ideas, or their ideas in general, were written but never really proven in some cases. So you become a theorist architect, and you can do that too. We were lucky, or there's some of us that are lucky, that we write these things, we do these things, we promote these things, and we connect with the client and our frequents, and that's the great mix. It's when when you have these ideas, but you have somebody that backs them up. You know, the great architects in the world had the ideas, but had the families behind it, or the companies behind it supporting these ideas. You know, the Parque Güell from Gaudí in Barcelona, they had the family was there to provide the land and the budget for that crazy idea of Parque Güell.
Sure.
Yes, so
Yeah.
that's the beautiful mix. So when you put that equation with the three names that I just mentioned, and it's just another beautiful client that believes in our creativity.
Uh, are you given sort of an assignment? We need a par five, we need a par four. Do you submit a handful of designs and they go, we'll take this one and take that one? How does sort of that process work with what you know that you're tasked to create?
To a certain extent, well, to all extent, it's free. It's completely
Wow.
free. You bring up some ideas because we were all learning that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said it yourself. I mean, and I said uncertainty. We were all in that same boat of uncertainty. As much as, even if we have money, even if we have, excuse me, the budget, even if we have all of that, and the PJ Tour and Full Swing and all these great, Sinlon, we have all these great guys, everybody pitching in, and then you have these great designers, and now with Gil Hands, now we have, I mean, just look at that foursome, Dan. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we're stoked that we're in our foursome of designers. It's Gil, it's Bo, and it's Nicholas, design, which has been beautiful. So anyway, that's 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 part of the beauty of that, is just to believe.
Yeah. I think one of my sort of favorite design constraints is this idea that there's this green that has to exist in every hole. However, the green has the ability to change from hole to hole. So it's sort of, we have this shape, here are the bunkers, but it can spin. And then the actual putting surface, the undulation can change. Just kind of talk me through a little bit of that, of playing within that constraint, but yet it still has room for creativity within it.
It is a great point that you bring up, and yes, if there was a constraint, I mean, there were various. No, yeah,
Sure.
I'll put another example. Because you're looking at a screen, there's there's no depth perception in our eye, in our
Yeah.
mind. So that's a tough one, to do and to replicate. Now, the other one is, let's say when you're standing on a tee box and you're looking, let's say that one proposal was, it plays 90 feet downhill or 120 feet downhill. That was a restriction, because when you're on the tee box and you don't see the fairway downhill, the only thing that you would see on the screen, because it can't tilt down with your head, is a blue sky.
Yeah.
And you don't want that on the interaction, with the design. So those things either going up. Let's say that you want to create a super high, fairway.
Yeah.
The only thing you're going to see is a green screen,
Yeah. A grass wall of
a
sorts.
grass wall, because you can't go like this to
Yeah.
the to the screen. It's fixed. Those things were restrictions, and then the other thing that we needed to have, because of the beautiful concept, is that the green zone was fixed, um, and 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 from that green zone fixed, yes, we had a lot of moving parts. You can either move the pin with the hydraulic jacks, um, or you can twist the turntable that goes 360. So now you can go over the bunker, or you can ask for a fade, or you can ask for a draw, depending on where you want the pin position. And then you have the green zone, the big tongue that can also flip, so you can have the green right on the edge, if you flip it backwards, you don't have any tongue in the front. So you can have water immediately on the green zone, or you twist it back, and now you have all this, you know, big tongue that will receive you before you even hop onto the green. So
Sure.
all of these things were there to grab, to connect, to imagine, and uh, I know that in some designs were done from the green back.
Mhm.
All of our designs were done from the tee to the green.
That's so cool. I mean, it's that whole universe I just find so interesting. I got to travel down to the SoFi Center in TGL maybe 10 times last year for different
Nice.
events and media days and covering actual tournaments. And
I'm
then
jealous, mate.
I find it so interesting. And it's
It
because
is
it's like
beautiful.
you're saying, it's this team of beautiful minds in so many different directions. I mean, so you've
Yeah.
got, teams, like you said, at full swing, that are blazing a new trail in how do we make launch monitors work in this environment. This isn't your classic indoor golf studio, little, whatever, 12 by 12 box, something like that. And all together, it has made something so fascinating to me and interesting to watch. And I think one of the things that blew my mind the most, I was inside of the big production trailer where, the guys in there go to
Yeah.
camera 1 and camera 3 and this
Oh
and
yeah.
that. And they were kind of giving me a tour and walking through, explaining the process. And they're like, we have, it was something like 70 cameras here stationed all throughout the entire SoFi Center from every angle possible. But this was the part I found the most interesting. They said, but we also have, and it was something like 8 or 10 camera angles in the virtual world that we're going to virtual camera 4, which is flying over and following the ball, and virtual camera 7, that's a close up on the pin inside of the virtual universe.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, like, I don't even know if people realize that there is this much thought and intention into the whole process. And for me, that is why I get very excited to tune in, because there are nooks and crannies of ideas packed in and throughout the whole thing and in every direction. So I just got to say, I feel like, you, TGL team, all of you guys have really worked together to make something special. And I would imagine you've got to, I would think you've got to be proud of getting to be a part of something like that and pioneering a new space of golf sports.
Very, very proud to say the least, and in what our part concerns. And then you see the whole team, as you well are mentioning. You see the whole team working, and it's unbelievable because the crossover is fascinating. We're not we're not only, I say we as a full team, we're not only producing a golf tournament, we're producing entertainment,
Yeah. Yep.
and that is like triple the work. So you have that crossover between golf and entertainment. And as the season grew, you saw more, golfers, they're competing, they're vicious, they're out
Yeah.
there, they want to win, which is something very cool that happened immediately in TGL.
Yeah.
That we can get them to click. But then little by little, some started even to entertain.
Yeah.
You saw that transition from a few. I mean, when Tony Finau went in as a special,
Dancing on the tee
dancing,
box.
that was beautiful. Billy Horschel coming up with the bird, and all of that stuff was very, very cool to see as the season progressed. I can't wait for this season because of that. I want to see the one thing that I'm looking, besides how the holes are going to play and if they're going to have fun uh, competing, is how that crossover from playing a competitive tournament with a big purse and the entertainment value. That's going to be one thing that I'm very much looking forward to this year, and how the players react.
Yeah. Well, I think you're so right. I mean, you could tell early on, You know, because it was so new, they're out there kind of like, how's this going to work? I want to look like I'm doing well. I want to win. These guys are
Of course.
highly competitive natured people.
Of course.
And, but at the same time, it's like, I'm a little bit of fish out of water, even though I'm kind of doing the thing I've done my whole entire life. And it did, and it evolved. And you talk about Billy Horschel. We joked on the show. I said, I give Billy Horschel the MVP for the most sort of like transformative character throughout the season. And by the end, in the finals, that putt that's kind of rolling down the hill, Justin Thomas is behind him. He loses his mind. He's throwing his putter. And I was like, this is not a joke. This isn't an act. These guys are so invested and so into this. And I think for all of us at home, or if you were there watching it live, you become that invested too, because that's what it is. When it means that much to them, it allows you for it to mean that much to you as well. And it was just such a cool process, cool season. Going into season 2, I before I let you go, I want to know, could you tell me just a little bit about this whole, we were watching, I think it was just revealed last week, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's got like the giant backboard. It's like that slope.
Cenote.
Yes, that's it. Tell me about this. Come on.
Well, I love your point on the players.
Yeah.
And just to kind of like wrap that up.
Yeah,
on my
please,
part,
please.
It is, we're taking risks too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool when they also, I want to see them compete, definitely. That's number one. But I also want to see them have fun.
Yeah.
Because it is yes, I can appreciate that nobody wants to look bad. Nobody, I don't want to look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's, if we're on the same frequency of, hey, nobody wants to look bad, but let's be out there. Let's take some risks. Let's take some shots. And that's also, before we get to Cenote, that's also why we designed the Stinger.
Yeah.
It's an ode to Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an ode to Tiger Woods, number one.
Of course.
It's kind of like, yes, let's go. Let's take one of the shots that you are made memorable, immortal to a certain extent, and bring it onto the big screen. Let's try and hit it. Let's have everybody hit it in ode to Tiger, who has done fantastic things to our industry at all levels. So now, it was time for, at least in our book, for season 2 to ask a little bit more of a shot making and more on the vertical. On season 1, we went with horizontal.
Yep.
So you'll see a lot of the this movement, that movement. In season 2, as our designs start coming up, you'll see more vertical hit or misses, or risk and reward on the verticals. You either miss it. If you miss it, you get a negative speed slot.
Sure.
Which we love. We integrated on Pick Your Plunder, where if you overdraw the left side of that fairway, that negative speed slot will pick your ball and drive you further out of the line of play. So we started to, I like humor in our designs a lot. So you'll notice. And so those things are things that are mixed now on these new holes. Cenote, that was it actually was born thinking about an eye. When you close up in an eye and you close up in the retina and all of that, there's a black hole in the middle, yes, and then it's whatever, blue, black, brown, etc. And you have all these kind of like veins, or you have all these creases. That close up on a microscope, that's where we got the idea.
Oh, wow.
Man, we need to play into an eye. And but then we changed it to a cenote because it's kind of cool to have it, there's that line between hallucinating, the whole background, the whole everything, and or taking it more to the terrain, to something that everybody can identify. So your brain doesn't play tricks on you that, oh, this is all, funny stuff and stuff like that. So we kind of like took that and created in a cenote, which has, to a certain extent, that effect that we wanted. Now, a cenote is a sinkhole in simple terms in the Yucatan Peninsula, where the land formed like that after millions of years after the dinosaur thing, uh,
The
yeah,
great
the
extinction or
meteor
the
after the meteor
oh, the
hit.
meteor. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and now in the Yucatan Peninsula or in Mayan country per se, where the Mayas were, these sinkholes start forming, and you have there in all that area there are no rivers under on top. All the rivers are underneath the soil.
Mm.
So when that sinks, you have a river or connecting all these cenotes, or a lot of these cenotes interconnect with each other. So you have like professional scuba divers going in there, et cetera, et cetera. Regardless of that, long story short, the Mayas, when they lived, that was a place of connection with the underworld, and also a place of sacrifice. So all of that put together, it was like, hey, let's ask for this shot, a 245-yard shot that you have to throw a dart if you want to hit on the green, which is only 40 yards in diameter, or let's hit and let's start playing this hole backwards, and you can hit a short drive, well, short as in 285,
Yeah,
296. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
For the big
For
boys,
these guys, you know.
for these guys, exactly. You can hit a high trajectory or whatever, uh, uh, driver to this backboard, to this cape, or hit a 310 to this cape, and the ball will meander towards the green. Now, the cool part of it is that depending on the pin position, if the pin is in the front, on the right or on the left, you have to play it all the way up to 295, 305, 310, so that it really gets momentum and it goes all the way to the front of the green. Or if the pin's in the back, then you have to hit around whatever, 285, 290, so that it grabs less momentum and dies on the backside of the green. Hit the left of the cape, it's going to run to the right. Hit the right of the cape, it's going to run to the left. So I'm really looking forward to that
Wow.
one when the season starts. Let's see. Again, hopefully we will have some fun. The players will have some fun competing, of course,
Yeah.
but also experimenting and also being out there and taking that risk of that shot. Um, and then for the long irons players, you know, if you want to grab a 2 or a 3 and hit it to 2 or a 4, I don't know whatever they want to hit or they can hit at 245, and hit a dart to the green, then that's the beauty shot.
I'm excited for the suspense moment where we're all waiting to see what the ball does. You know, yeah,
Yes.
after it makes the second half of its journey, it's technically not in the air anymore, but the journey is far from over, and how this will play out. I feel like it's going to be such fun suspense, even watching the players stand there on the tee box waiting to see how this result plays out as the ball makes its journey and drops down and hits the green and starts working towards the hole or not. And as the crowd's going to get pumped because it's getting closer and closer and they're going nuts and hammers are flying and the whole thing. I know it's going to be electric.
Well, let's hope for that. Me too.
Do you get to play much golf yourself?
No, not as much as I would like. You know, it's luckily we're busy designing,
Yeah.
and I do like to go out there. Obviously, I go out there as much as I can, and but then when I can, I take my kids.
Oh, that's great.
So it's kind of like, hey, all right, let's have fun. Let's do a little scramble with the kids. I have my kids are still well, one of them just turned 12. The other ones are 8 and 5. So we're still out there having fun and enjoying golf, playing 5, 6 holes in our club at the Heights or at Tijuana Country Club. But when we're in San Diego or here in Vallarta, we go to Vista Vallarta or El Tigre, and sometimes when we're lucky, we go to Punta Mita. So that's what we do. So like really being out there for an 18-hole round, it doesn't happen a lot anymore.
This has been too great. I really, really appreciate you taking some time, really sharing your story, kind of the vision behind your work and this whole thing. I mean, I feel like you and I could sit down and hang out all night long and tell stories because I feel like
No doubt.
we've barely scratched the surface, but this has been fantastic. I really, really do appreciate you taking the time and joining us on the show here today.
Thank you, Dan. Likewise, appreciate your interest in our work. And on behalf of the whole Pizá Golf team, thank you very much.
How do folks find you? Social, website? Go ahead and give folks how do they find you?
Thank you. Hopefully, I'll keep it simple. Everything Pizá Golf, Piza Golf, like a pizza with one Z. Pizá Golf.
I love it. Well, we'll drop links to that in the description and all that, so folks can find it nice and easy. Once again, Agustin Piza, I appreciate you. Thank you, and have an absolutely awesome rest of your day.
And you. Thank you.